Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Full Pelt Music podcast. Shortly, we'll be joined by the Intersphere to talk about their new album, Wanderer. But before then, the usual reminders from myself. If you would, please do follow Full Pelt on social media. We're on Facebook at Full Pelt and on Twitter and Instagram at Full Pelt Music. And finally, if you would, please do hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, wherever you're watching or listening. Welcome, Dan, from the Intersphere to the Full Pelt Music podcast. Absolutely delighted to have you on. How are you this evening?
I'm wonderful. Thank you, Paul. Thanks for having us. Or me, at least. One of us four.
Yeah, no, I'm glad that we could chat because obviously exciting times for the band at the moment. You've literally just put out your fifth album now, Wanderer. And of course, you've literally just finished up, as we talk, a little run of shows that you've done around the release. So, I mean, first of all, how were those shows for you?
First, I have to point out that it's actually album number 6. There was one before that was released under a different band name at first. But other than that, the tour was absolutely amazing. It took some time until we released that album after the last one, The Grand Illusion. So it was like 4.5 years in between again, which is a super long time actually. And to play all the new songs live was it opened up a whole new world for us again. I mean, we played live a lot in the past, but it was just the old songs over and over again. But yeah, it just felt amazing to play the whole album in front of new people as well. Clubs were completely full. Most of them were sold out, and yeah, it felt great.
No, that is. There's no better feeling in the world as for a musician than getting up on stage, I don't think.
Right.
Did you play the album in its entirety at those shows?
Yes, not in the right order, but
Okay.
and we mixed in some old tunes as well, but we played all of the 10 songs. Yeah.
Excellent. And obviously, the album did come out, I believe, on probably the second day of the tour. So obviously, listeners may well have been experiencing a lot of the songs for the first time. Obviously, there was, I think, 4 or 5 pre-release singles, so they'd had a good flavour of what to expect at the shows. But how did you gauge the audience reaction to those new songs?
The funny thing is that all the new songs are quite different. I would say there are heavy riffs in there, like a la carte, or also Wanderer is quite heavy as well. But then there are some almost pop or ballad songs, and the funny thing is, we are a rock band, of course, but usually our audience is not really, let's say they are listening quite well when we play and don't move and dance a lot, but that's just their way to appreciate our songs. And but I don't know. I think it's really the reaction that we wanted, because most of the time after the songs, there's a couple of seconds of silence, but not because they're unkind or anything, but because they are just actually appreciating it, and then in the breaks they went crazy. So yeah, we knew that they love it, and also the reaction before, and like you said, we had 4 singles out before the album release. The reactions were amazing. So yeah, it was the same thing in front of the live audience as well. So we couldn't be any happier with that. Yeah.
Excellent. That's fantastic to hear. And obviously, the album is a phenomenal album that listeners really need to go and check out. And obviously, they can stream it across all the usual streaming platforms. And there are physical copies out there to buy as well, which look very, very nice indeed. Obviously, we talk a bit about the reaction there, and the shows in particular and how the songs went down there. You touched on obviously the singles that come out, and it is a good point, because in the olden days, not to make us feel old, but in the old days, pre-social media, basically, you had to wait for shows, to get that sort of feedback and reaction from your audience to what you're putting out there. But these days, with social media, as soon as you put a single out, a video out, you're getting that feedback instantaneously. How much attention do you guys pay to that? Is it something you try and stay away from, or is it something that you actively do try and monitor?
No, I think you can't just stay away from that. And of course, I mean, we're reading every single message, every single comment on our channels, of course, and of course we read reviews of our album. And I mean, it depends how the feedback is written or spoken, I would say. But actually, I don't know if there's a single negative comment at all. I mean, sometimes, because like I said, the new songs are pretty different in style sometimes. If you look at, like I said, songs like Wanderer, but then on the album we have like softer songs like Treasure Chest. And the only thing that we read sometimes, but that's really rare, that they have to get used to some styles. But actually, that's always been like that in the past, because we as a band, the Intersphere, we have a certain style that we are known for, but we always tried out different genres, or we were going in different directions musically. So that's the thing that we always had. And but really, like negative comments, I don't know if I read a single one. And even if it's one out of a 5,000, I mean, that doesn't really bother us. So we're really happy overall. So yeah.
No, excellent. Yeah, because social media is a fantastic opportunity to engage with your audience, something that obviously wasn't there in the past, but there is a toxic side to it. So it's great to hear, obviously, the lack of negativity, because normally there's always just, the internet trolls, as people will call them, that feel they need to go on there and spoil things for everyone.
Yeah, but also I guess the larger you get as a band, the more that side comes through. So I don't know. I think we're still quite a small band. Quite. I mean, we are really happy where we are and where we stand. But I think it's another thing if you have like 500,000 or 1 million followers on Instagram. I think then you attract the haters even more. So I guess nobody bothers us too much.
No, valid point. But you are certainly doing really well, and positioned obviously to proceed hopefully to much greater success. And obviously, as you touched upon, it is your sixth album now, obviously as a group, fifth kind of on a label, I guess. I believe the first one was self-released, wasn't it? Yeah. So obviously, you've spent a lot of time together now on the road, but in particular in the studio. So what was the recording process like for this album? Do you have a standard sort of process that you go through, or do you mix it up? Obviously, we've had some unique world events recently that I think for a lot of artists I've spoken to has kind of made them reevaluate the way they do things. So I just want to obviously get some insight from yourself to how that process went this time around.
Sure. I think we have to divide that into two pieces. The one thing is the studio work, recording the album, and the other thing is, of course, the songwriting process. Let's start with the studio process first, and that was actually kind of the same as for the last two records, and it's kind of special, I guess, for our kind of music because we play all the basic tracks live in one room. So we do overdubs here and there, like another third guitar or anything, but the basic tracks that you hear on the album are completely played live in the studio, and that has several reasons. First of all, because it saves a lot of time. Second pro is definitely that you don't get lost in the very small details, I guess, in the very little flaws that you don't even hear in the mix. And I think the third important thing is that it sounds much more organic. So that has been the same process for the last three records now, playing the basic tracks live and then occasionally do some overdubs. Songwriting process definitely changed a little bit because of the events, let's say it that way. Because for our previous album, The Grand Illusion, we I think most, like 80 or 90% of the songs were really written in the rehearsal room, or ideas were born when we were just jamming along. That wasn't the case for this album. So our singer and songwriter Christoph did a lot more demo and pre-production work at home by himself. But again, there's not a single the Intersphere song that doesn't get finished and written in the rehearsal room. So of course some demos are more advanced than others, or or closer to being a finished song than others, but we always write the songs or finish the songwriting in the rehearsal room. And the thing also is that when Christoph does the demos or produces the demos, he also does he experiments a lot in different genres and also different production styles that sometimes at first don't sound anything like a song of the Intersphere, but as soon as we play together in the rehearsal room, it has usually our style. Everybody has their sounds, their drum sounds, bass sounds, guitar sounds that bring it all together. And so yeah, but we have to say for this album, yeah, there were more ideas that were written by Christoph himself, but then in the end, they came along in the rehearsal room. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting to hear. And of course, yeah, the events that the world went through caused a lot of us to rethink our lives and the way we do things, and some of it for the better, to be fair.
Sure, yeah. I just wanted to say that because I always see it like that. Well, like I said, it's the sixth album that we did, and I always see it like that. You have to change the process in order to have a different outcome. If you have the same process for each album, for each song, you'll get songs that sound the same. And that's actually a funny thing as well, because because we were talking about social media. I remember that one guy I think it was on YouTube. I can't remember, but he said, "Why are they trying out different things? Stick to one style, stick to one thing, and just repeat it." And I don't know. That's, I think, a really weird way to look at it, and especially it's not sustainable for a band to do the same album over and over and over and over again. I mean, there are some bands that do that and are having a lot of success, and it's okay if they do that, but I don't know. I just couldn't do.
That'd be boring, I guess, wouldn't it?
It would be completely boring, and it's not like we changed completely. We just try to do new things on every album, but I think in the core, it's still the Intersphere album, just like the last 4, 5, 6 ones. So, but yeah, like I said, I'm a fan of changing up the process just to keep the ideas fresh, to even get new ideas, because otherwise you're kind of running around in circles, I guess.
Definitely, and it always frustrates me, when fans, kind of want to pigeonhole a band and obviously just leave them, and they want them to stay. I think something you guys have done really well is you've got that identity. So again, you hear an Intersphere song and you can pick up that, yes, this is an Intersphere song. But of course, even on one album, as with Wanderer, you can have so many different styles within that scope of what the band are, which is something you guys do so well, I think.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, no, fantastic. So obviously Wanderer the album is something listeners need to check out, but the first taste that fans got of that album was the single Wanderer, when that came out back at the end of last year. So I just wanted to touch obviously on that song, and obviously, what about that song made it stand out to you that you felt, well, this is the song for us to lead? Because picking the first single of any album is always quite an important decision. So what about that song stood out?
Well, there are two sides of about that. So one thing is that we didn't record the whole album in one studio session, but we split it up. So the first session was in summer 21, I guess. And at that time, we had, I think, 4 songs that we had already finished. And Wanderer was one of them. But the other thing is when Wanderer is one of the songs that were actually pretty advanced or close to finish when Christoph recorded and wrote the demo. And that was pretty interesting because I think I was also sitting here with my headphones on, like I do now, and closed my eyes, pressed play, and just I didn't know what to expect. And first of all, the whole groove that you hear also in the intro and in the choruses made me bounce like crazy. But what really got me was the first vocal line of the verse where the whole band drops out and it's only this atmospheric guitar, this reverb delay guitar together with this amazing vocal melody. And I really had goosebumps when I heard that for the first time. So that was actually, after 20, 30 seconds, I knew that has to be the first single, because it combines everything that we are as a band, but also, I guess, it has also refreshing grooves, refreshing sounds that we didn't have before. Also, the guitar work is a bit different, I guess. But yeah, it has the perfect mix of this very, very cool, catchy vocal melodies together with this really cool pumping offbeat groove. So yeah, that was kind of it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that is great to hear, and obviously it did work really, really well as that lead single. And just ahead of obviously talking to you, I thought I'd better refresh myself on the video, because I'm a massive music video kind of buff, because I grew up with music television, sitting watching music TV non-stop, every single day. Obviously, not many people do that these days. So, listeners, you'll want to head across obviously to YouTube. That's where we all digest that kind of thing these days. And there'll be links in the bio for the episode for obviously the listeners to be able to do that. But I always do like to put a bit of a spotlight on the video. So obviously the video for that song I thought was really, really well put together and works well with the song. So how did that concept come together for you all, and how did you go about putting it into practice?
Yeah, it was also kind of a process, because at first we had different director, different film crew that we wanted to work with, but we weren't really happy with the script that they sent us, and we just knew that even if we changed it up, we're not coming together. So we asked a director that we knew did also music videos for other bands that we knew, that we were friends with, and so it had different sides that we were coming from. One of them is just really we wanted to create unique and atmospheric pictures, like no matter what the content itself is, but or if it has anything to do with the lyrics. But the first thing is we wanted to have some special and cool atmospheric pictures that just fit to the song. And we knew that his name is Moritz. We knew that he could achieve that, and we wanted to create kind of like different worlds that our actress is going through. And then we had different brainstorming sessions where we thought about how we could actually transport that. And then we had also this idea with this virtual reality glasses, and that was kind of like the puzzle piece between those different worlds, and also of course the 4 doors that you can see in the video, that when she decides to go through that particular door, and also at the end of the video where she is walking through another door, which is the second video and the second single, Bulletproof. Yeah.
And I love a little link like that. They're always does it for me, as it were. And obviously, yeah, I love music videos because they can give a new meaning to a song and obviously stay, in the consciousness of fans. I'll hear a song on the radio or Spotify or whatever we listen to these days and think back to that video from my youth. So again, the video for Wanderer works really, really well. And obviously, yeah. Talking of meanings and obviously themes, just to wrap up the conversation around Wanderer, obviously we've touched on, the pandemic and everything. The themes of the album. How much of an impact did the world events at the time have on the themes? And can you just delve a little bit into the themes for us on the record?
Sure. I mean, the whole theme. Wanderer, or what wanderer, the word for us in this context stands for, is like you could picture it like humanity wandering around, doing different things as humanity, as a society, and we are just trying to question if society is going in the right direction. That's basically the main point. So things like sustainability and all those things, how we act as humans, as people, and what influence that has on things like of course nature and climate change and those kind of things. And so we are kind of wandering around, but we have to question, is it the right direction that we are wandering towards? So that's kind of the summary, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it definitely makes sense, and it is such an important question for us as a race at the moment. What are we doing with this planet?
Yeah, it's also, of course, it's the sustainability thing, but it's also questioning capitalism. I mean, we're not punks or anything like that, but we're for sure questioning capitalism, if we should consume the way that we are consuming. That are definitely questions that we ask ourselves.
Exactly, as we definitely should be with everything that is going on in the world. It's I think a whole nother podcast we could delve into if we wanted to get into that. Always happy to do it. But to stick the focus then back on the band, I did notice, looking ahead for this interview, that you really seem to have embraced the Patreon app, as it were, and obviously that method of engagement with your audience. So I just wanted to bring that up for anyone not aware of it and touch on it. What can someone signing up for the band's Patreon account expect to find on the other end?
Sure. Well, we try to mix up the content that we deliver to our patrons as much as we can. So it's a mix of, we do like behind the scenes vlogs from the studio when we play live or do live sessions, or from the pre-production phase. We do behind the scenes vlogs, and also a lot of tutorial stuff, like guitar tutorials, drum tutorials, as well as playthrough videos. So we usually, most of them, put them on Patreon. We occasionally have some on YouTube as well for free. But drum playthroughs, guitar playthroughs, and bass playthroughs. Sometimes, well, actually, that's one thing that we do quite regularly. It's we do those production deep dives. So we take the multi-tracks or the stems of our productions, the studio production, and listen to the individual tracks and talk about how we achieved the sounds, how it was recorded, how we wrote the songs, and those kind of things. So the production deep dive is something that we do quite regularly, and you have to think. Occasionally we do those monthly updates where we just write a blog post where we update our fans what we are working on right now, if we are planning or shooting music videos, things like that. So yeah, that's kind of the stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a fantastic tool to have at your disposal. Obviously, builds that connection with your fans. Obviously, listeners listen to the podcast if that's something that you sound interested in. We'll have the link again in the bio
Cool,
to
thank
the
you.
band's website, and obviously you can get through to the Patreon from there. And obviously, you know, growing up, I mean, you can only dream of having that kind of connection with bands that you were following growing up. It's the one of the benefits of technology, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. And of course we can be much closer to our fans on Patreon than we can as we can to every single one on social media, and also with our so let's call it premium patrons that we have, where we try to have regular Zoom calls where we just talk to them in person if they have any questions or whatever we want to talk about. So of course we can't do that to the let's say normal social media audience. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is absolutely a fantastic thing to be able to do, and you know, for fans of the band, it sounds, you know, absolutely great. Yeah, and I'm guessing for you guys on the other end of it, that you get something out of it, you know, emotionally and everything as well by being able to have that connection.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, it's a monthly income, of course, that we have,
Yeah,
and that we really needed during the pandemic because we didn't play any shows, and that's usually how we
yeah,
finance our band. And of course, that we can't deny that. But on the other hand, we see that really those are our closest fans that also help us a lot to grow, because they are kind of like our super fans, and they really yeah, tell all their friends, tell all their families, everybody that they meet on the streets or on concerts, they tell them about us as a band. So that of course helps a lot. So I think it's yeah, it makes completely sense to do that, like, in these times as a band, because there are a lot of income streams that you can have as a band, but none of them are really that big. So you have to see how you finance your albums and everything. And it's not only of course you have to finance the studio recordings, but also if you are printing T-shirts or anything like that, you have to pay for that in advance before you can sell it. So you need some kind of a financial basis to even pay for all that in advance. So it is really a huge help, and without that, I'm pretty sure without Patreon we couldn't release this album to be that drastic. Yeah.
Yeah, which obviously makes it an invaluable tool for you, and it really is a win-win situation. You know, both the band and the fans are getting something really important out of it. So yeah, definitely, again, listeners, have a look at that and check that out if you will. And obviously, you know, you mentioned live shows as a big stream of income for all bands these days, because making records sadly doesn't bring in the money that it did again a long time ago. And thankfully, you know, the pandemic is gone, the restrictions are gone, and you're able to get out there as you just have done and play live shows again. So, you know, what can listeners expect over the next kind of year? Is there going to be plenty of opportunity for them to come and see you play some shows?
Yeah. So the closest thing now is we are playing a support show for Royal Blood, that we are really looking forward to in 2 weeks' time. And soon after that, we will release some new tour dates. Yes. And yeah, the new album, we just want to keep spreading the word, playing it live. That's the main focus that we have.
Yeah, no, it sounds good to me. And obviously, listeners, as we said, you know, as well as the Patreon, social media is the best place to stay up to date on when these tour dates are going to get announced. So, Facebook at the Intersphere and Instagram at the Intersphere_official are the two that I've been able to identify for obviously listeners to come. Again, links will be in the bio. So I do ask, you know, listeners, if you can give the band a follow, stay up to date for when these tour dates are coming. And obviously, it is a difficult environment in the music industry at the moment, and especially when it comes to European artists being able to come to the UK, and UK artists going to be able to go to obviously Europe, because on top of the pandemic we decided to inflict Brexit on ourselves for some inexplicable reason. But is there an ambition from the band to come across and play more shows in the UK? I know you have been over here previously.
Yeah, we have been there. There was also the plan to play the Great Escape Festival. I don't know if you're aware of that,
Yes, yeah.
which unfortunately didn't happen due to several reasons. But yeah, we still plan, of course, to come on your side. Yeah, and yeah, it has always been our goal to think more globally as a band, because we kind of see we are reaching a bit of a limit, of a ceiling in Germany. So yeah, of course, UK is always something that we are considering, as well as our neighboring countries, Netherlands, France, those kind of things. And yeah, at the moment there's not a show I can talk about, but we are always trying to expand our live shows, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. And we look forward to welcoming you. So again, listeners, make sure you do follow the band to stay up to date with all of that when it comes. And obviously talking about just the kind of, I don't know, disarray, for lack of a better word, within the music industry at the moment. The last segment that we've just added in, and I think this is the second time we've done it, although we are thinking about making it a regular kind of finale to the podcast going forward. So Dan, you're again a little bit of a guinea pig for us on this one. But we're just asking, if you had a magic wand and you could change one thing about the music industry, what would you choose to change?
Ooh, okay. Give me 1 second. Only one thing with a magic wand. I think being more independent of the algorithms, and therefore, how can I describe it? I don't want to judge other genres or other artists too much, but I think, yeah, less algorithms, more quality songs in general, not only for us, but in general. Because I also find, like the other way around, I find it pretty hard to discover good new music. I mean, you have new music all over the place, but the bands that really stick out, I think, are pretty rare, and they're really hard to pick out in between all those masses of those thousands and millions of songs and bands. And I have the feeling the ones that kind of work well together with the algorithms of Spotify, YouTube, whatever, you name it, are not always the ones that I enjoy listening to. Maybe let's put it that way. But yeah, I think the algorithms are there. It's a two-sided sword, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely are. Like you say, two-sided sword. There are a lot of benefits to obviously the kind of model that the music industry is sort of moved towards with streaming and everything, but also there's a lot of downsides, and I think too much emphasis really put on to the metrics around how many listeners, how many followers, etc.
Yeah, but that's the dependence that you have. There's no way around it. You have to find ways to let the algorithm work for you, and it's sad that that's one of the most important goals that you have to set. And yeah, for some bands and artists it works, and I think also for some styles of music it works better than others. I mean, for example, if you have a 10-second atmospheric guitar intro, I mean, what are people doing? They're skipping it, because other songs are just going right through in the first chorus or anything like that. So actually, if you consider that, you should consider how you even arrange the songs. And I don't know if that's the right way to think about writing music. So again, yeah, that's the dependence of the algorithms. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. No, really, really fascinating that. And obviously, yeah, thank you for that. So you're the second artist we've asked that question to. And yeah, no, really interesting answer to it. So I think we will definitely keep that as part of the podcast going
You
forward.
should. Interesting,
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see what answers we're going to get for sure. So obviously, yeah, it's been a great pleasure talking with you, Dan. We've really enjoyed The Wanderer, and obviously, listeners need to check that album out either on those streaming platforms or obviously, again, preferably, if you can afford to. I know we're in a cost of living crisis and everything, and we are all feeling the pinch, as they say. But if you can buy a physical copy from the band, then obviously that is the best way to support the band, along with obviously the Patreon and everything that you guys have discovered with that, which is again fantastic to hear. So I always like to throw the final bit just back to the guest and just say, what would be your final message for the listeners today?
My final message is, I don't know, just support the artists that you're listening to. Not only us, but other bands that you enjoy listening to, and especially smaller ones. So yeah, like you said, Patreon is an awesome way to support bands. And again, I'm not trying not to do an advertisement for us, but for the platform or the way to support bands in that way. So yeah, but even if you can't afford or don't want to spend any money on your bands, just get in touch with them, text them, write them messages, DM them, whatever, write comments, because that's the one thing that you can do that's completely free for you, but also is helping the band a lot. And not only because of the algorithms, but also to let the bands know that they're going in the right direction and that there are people that are actually appreciating and listening to their music. So I guess that's the thing that I would recommend to all the people out there. Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely echo them sentiments completely. Yeah, great pleasure talking with you, Dan. Thank you for joining us on the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Well, thank you everyone for listening. I really do hope you enjoyed that chat there with the Intersphere. Make sure you check out their new album, Wanderer, and of course, follow the band on social media to stay up to date with everything coming from them. You can also follow Full Pelt on social media. We're on Facebook at Full Pelt and on Twitter and Instagram at Full Pelt Music. And again, if you would, please do hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, wherever you are watching or listening, because we will be back very soon with another episode of the Full Pelt Music Podcast.